Hi class, today we are going to cover chapter 8 and 9. Chapter 8 is talking about arrays. You guys have learned when you start writing the programs, you learn variables. Variables can hold different data type, but each variable can hold one data to save the data in the variable so you can use it later on. But more and more you're into program, you start deal with multiple data or a file full of data. So time to time, if you only can, each variable can only save one data, you're going to run into a problem creating a lot of variables. And also when you create a variable separately, each of variable has to be manually created. So we introduced the concept of arrays. What array is just several elements saved under the same name of the array, and each of the element they will be able to save the data, same data type. So you can create 1, 2, 3 to many. So instead of create 5 different numbers variables, you can create an array of 5 numbers. That will make it much easier. And also array can be controlled by loop, while loop, for loop. It will make your program much shorter, much more efficient. All right. So an array allows you to store a group of items of the same data type together in the memory. So that's the important part. You need to be sent. Each array can only save the same data type. Okay. So if integer is the string is the string. How to declare them? Easy. The string type, the name of the array, and how many elements inside your array is right here. It could be a string class, it could be a numerical numbers as well. Okay, inside that square bracket, it will be the size of the arrays. And the storage location in the array for each of them, we call it elements. And how to access the elements? We go through the numbers. Those numbers we call subscript numbers. But the important thing is in the array, we're using any computer programs, the element always start from zeros. Okay, so what does that mean? In reality, the array, the name of array that holds the address where exactly you save the data on the memories. Of course, the first element will be the current one, so that's the address plus 0. So it will be current address. So where else will be the next one? The address plus 1, so they move up to the next elements. That was the reason you start from zeros. So all the array you're going to use in the future, remember the subscript numbers start from 0 and so on. All right. So how to access them? Pretty easy. You got a name, access them or initialize them. You got the name of your array, square bracket again, start from 0, say first number of 20 into it. And you can save a 30, you can save a 40, 50, and 60. But think about it, instead of writing all this, you can do a quick for loop to take care of that in one line of the code. So by doing the subscript number, you see you can access the first element, second element, and third elements instead of hard code them separately. Now they actually will do it in the loop. Or you can initialize the array. Instead of individually, you can follow by the declarant followed by equal sign and all the data you wanted to save into your arrays. Okay. So the common error when you're doing initialize the access array using a loop is they're gonna run one more time than it necessary. What is that? Because remember, subscript numbers start from 0. So actually, you're gonna run the intervals will be size -1. It has to be size -1. So we usually call it off by 1 errors. That's something when you use array, you need to be careful. And the array today, if you create array of 50 elements, not necessarily have all the data for those 50 elements already. So you can fill up the first 10, the rest of them they could have initialized to 0 or empties. Just depends. So that's the partially filled arrays. So you see this example here. You start from 100, and you have a size of 100, declare 100 integers. And what you can do, you can keep a counter. What it does is every time you access one, the counter will +1 move to the next one. So by the way, your computer, you use the counter to keep track how many data you have used inside this array. You have how many elements you access in this array already. So that's a good way to control. You see, your control counter can +1, and then once you have the counter, later on if you use the loop to access, then you know where to stop as well. Okay. And of course, based on the array we have, they have while, do while, and for loop you can choose from. But things array, they come with the size. A lot of time for loop, it makes sense to do it. Okay. And because for loop is a counter interval loop you can use. And inside the for loop we have something called for each. That's a short version of writing of for loop. What it does is, if today you need to access every single element in the array, instead of write the whole thing, you can write some loop called for each. What it does is you will access each element in your array once. So like this, for each num in these numbers. This num is local variable they create to save whatever they extracted out from the numbers arrays, and they displayed it for each. Pretty easy. So the basic array idea, you already have it. So now we come down to a couple of functions we need to mention. First of all is searching an arrays, which that happens a lot, when you're looking for data specifically. Okay, a sequential searching array, it's the simplest technique. So which that means you call linear search. So you start from first one, keep moving on to the next and next until you found it, or you finish the array without finding it. And then that means the item is, the target number you're looking for is not in the arrays. Okay, linear search. And the processing a content in the array, like for example, total the value in the array and calculate average. The for loop can do it. You can sum them all up in total and divide by the size of your array. That would be the average, right? Something like that. This is a quick example from the book. You can take a look at them. Okay. And you can find the high and low as well, which you preset the first number considers highest or lowest. Compare the current to next. If the next one is higher, you replace them, and so on and so forth. Every time you find a higher number, you replace that into the highest number variable. When you by the end, you get the highest numbers. Same thing as lowest as well. Same process. And you can copy one array to the other array, but make sure you cannot copy the array by name. Today you create integer array 1, save the data, integer array 2. You cannot do integer array 2 equal to array 1, just name by name. That doesn't work, because remember, array, it's about address on the memory. You cannot copy one by name to the other one. When you try to copy an array, what you need to do, you need to copy individual elements one by one. So which you need to run a loop to copy everything individually. Parallel array means, today if you remember, each array can only save one data type. Today, if you want to create something called phone book, they'll probably, you need a name, you need an address, you need phone number, something like that. But they are different data type. So what you're gonna do is you can create 3 different arrays. One is name, one is address, one is phone number. Just control it by the same subscript number, which means sub 0 all belong to same person. Sub 2, 1 belong to same person. Sub 2 belong to same person. That's how you do it. It's called parallel arrays. And later on, of course, you will learn something called 2-dimensional array, just like the Excel. They have rows and they have columns. 2-dimensional array. And then for the 2-dimensional array, well, for 1-dimensional, you control by one for loop, right? Linear. But two-dimensional, you can just think there's row and the column you need to control. So it's a two-dimensional for loop. All right, there's nested for loop. You see, one for row, one for column, something like that. And you use that quite often in the future. And the last one we can introduce is called three-dimensional array. It's kind of same idea. If you get a two-dimensional, you will be able to get three dimensionals. It's like a row and the column and then the different pages, just like how you're reading the book, right? Pages. If you use Excel, that's same idea. They have a row, they have a column, and they have different sheets, something like that. And they're controlled by three-dimensional numbers. And if you want to access all of them, you use three nested for loop. Okay, this is chapter 8 about arrays. I will record chapter 9 in another video. All right, see you soon.